friends and family. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with me. This is Joy. I hope that you are all doing well and continuing to nurture your soul needs as you journey beyond narcissistic abuse. Today, I want to talk to you about reasons why the narcissist wants you to be invisible. You know, they actually want you to be invisible to yourself. And that's one of the tragedies of life, is when people actually do become invisible to themselves. Because when you become invisible to yourself, nobody else can see you. You kind of just diminish yourself, your capacity, and you just become a wallflower. And this is something that I kind of experienced as a young girl. And I really just didn't want to be seen. But I want to tell you that you cannot go through life not seeing yourself. You cannot go through life not seeing yourself. When you don't see yourself, you end up being entrapped in situations that you have no business in. And if you are somebody who is invisible to yourself as a result of being a narcissist, I want to encourage you to listen to what I have to share with you today. And it's my sincere hope that you actually start seeing yourself. It's important that you become visible to yourself. You know, a lot of times narcissists don't validate your emotions. They tell you that you're crazy, that you're overly emotional, that, oh, why do you have to be that way? And they make you feel bad about who you are. And just the way they react, the way they speak to you, the harsh words and the harsh language that they can use towards you, makes you pause. It makes you question, like, okay, maybe I'm overreacting, and you start to doubt yourself. And that's a seed that they plant. That seed of doubt is going to, confusion will spring from that, insecurity, and a desire to be seen. And when I say to be seen, to be noticed and validated by those that love you, and you'll have a need for a sense of security oftentimes. But because the narcissist is who they are not going to offer that to you. It's really strategic because they know that this is the result. They know that that is how you're going to feel. And so they purposefully create an environment to cultivate those negative emotions in you so that they can begin to strip you of your identity. And what happens is you stop advocating for yourself. You stop showing up for yourself. You stop speaking out for yourself. And soon it's just kind of like, okay, go with the flow. But here's the thing about going with the flow. You cannot go with the flow. Anything going with the flow is liable to be blown around by the wind and end up wherever. Your life is too important. Your life is too valuable. And your life is too special for you to just go with the flow. But that's what they want. They want you to check out so that they can really run the show in your life, so that in some instances they want to be able to make all the financial decisions. They want to make all the family decisions. They really just want to run the show and paint you as the helpless person. And if it wasn't for me in your life, where would you be? And that's a narrative that they want to run with. What also happens is that you end up not having any expectation of receiving anything from them. And when I say receiving anything, I'm not even talking about lavish gifts. I'm talking about respect. I'm talking about empathy. I'm talking about, just caring. You can't even ask them to go to the store to get you some meds when you're sick. Simple things like that people who love and care for each other do. But we have to remember who we are dealing with. We are dealing with a narcissist. And it's important that you also remember that they project. And for you to become invisible to yourself, they are going to project all of the feelings that they have. Because the truth of the matter is they are not visible to themselves. They are not visible because they really have been an empty shell since the beginning, that they've just collected other people's personalities, other people's souls, and just stored that in their soul bank. That is it. And so when there's so much confusion within a person, when there's so many souls held hostage, they don't see themselves. Because you can imitate somebody 24/7. You can imitate a bunch of different people 24/7, but that doesn't make you that person. And this is something they struggle with. And they keep on trying to get more supplies so that they can compensate for the lacks or the breaks in between, when they don't feel like anybody within the bank, and they're left in brief moments where they may be alone or they may be experiencing something, and they have to just sit with their own thoughts, and they don't want to self-regulate. And so it's moments like that where they decide, let me turn it up a notch. But they want you to feel taken advantage of. And it really doesn't matter whether this is a spouse, a boss, children, work, church. It doesn't matter. They want you to stop talking about the relationship and what you're experiencing, because it keeps them in control or perceived control. But they really want to take advantage of everything that you are. They want to take advantage of everything that you are. You have to remember also that narcissism is driven by deep-seated jealousy, envy, hate. Not even is it deep-seated, it's obsessive, it's compulsive, it's pathological. It's a whole nother level. When you become invisible to yourself, you become a thing of the past. And that is exactly what they want. They want to be able to take away your identity, your character, your personality, and your life, because that feeds the evil and the wickedness that is on the inside of them. Narcissists experience what we call splitting, black or white thinking. In order for them to be all good, you have to be all bad. And if they see you as all good, in their minds, that means that they're all bad. So now if you end up as a shell of a person, if you end up as a fragment of who you used to be, you're all bad. And so that means they're all good. But I'm here to tell you, listen, the devil is a liar. And if you are invisible to yourself, I want to encourage you to start seeing yourself. I want to encourage you that no matter what you've been through, no matter what you are facing, you can overcome this. You know, I'm reminded of the story of the woman of the issue, and she was invisible to herself. She stayed, cast out. She was on the outskirts because she couldn't be with everybody. She couldn't be with everybody because when she was experiencing that blood issue, that blood flow, she's considered unclean. But after 12 years, can you imagine 12 years? And I know some of you can, because you've been in these relationships with narcissists, some your whole life. You can't get away from them. So it seems like they're at home, they're at work, you married one, they were in school, your friends. But that woman, the woman with the issue, one day decided enough. She heard Jesus was passing through town and she had to get to him, because finally she said, I'm sick and tired of the rules that they've given me to live by. I want to be whole. I want to be healed. And so she went out and she touched the hem of his garment and was healed. If she did not have a moment where she became visible to herself, she wouldn't have gone out and touched the hem of his garment. And who knows what would have become of her. The very first thing was, you have to change your thoughts. She changed her thoughts and she said, I don't care what they say. I'm ready to risk it all. Change your thoughts. The way the narcissist talks to you is so degrading. It's demeaning. They belittle you and they use word curses to program your thinking. Not just your thinking on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level. And that is where the damage happens. It's so important that you understand that your mind, and I'll say this forever, your mind is incredibly powerful, that your subconscious thoughts, drive so many of your decisions. But before they can drive your decisions, they tap into your emotions. And it's that emotional pull that drives your decision to be invisible. I dare you to start seeing yourself. I dare you to start saying that this is enough and I'm going to see myself. You were never created to be invisible. You were never created to live your life behind closed doors or secluded or without community. You were designed to enjoy fellowship. Change what you say to yourself. And it's not going to be easy. It's not a walk in the park. And it's something that you're going to have to practice. I remember a few years ago when we were going into a new year, and I said to myself, there's some things about me that I'm not happy with. I couldn't say no for anything. I could not say no. I couldn't say no. But I told myself going into next year, I'm going to start saying no. And I forced myself anytime somebody wanted me to do something and I maybe just didn't want to do it, or I couldn't do it, or it was an inconvenience to me, whatever my reason was, I just said no. And there were times when there was no need for me to explain it because no is a full sentence. And there were times when I would explain it, but I made sure not to over explain or, try to seem like, I would, but I can't. No, I wasn't doing any of that. I just said no and left it alone. And that was a challenge. It took courage, but I did it. I practiced that thing for a whole year. I wish somebody would ask me to do something that I don't feel like now. I'll say no. And it's not to say that, I don't feel like it. Maybe you have other plans. It always seemed like I would have something scheduled and I would be told, well, like, that's just that, it's not a big deal. What I need is more important. No. How is somebody going to tell you, again, trying to make you invisible to yourself? We're not doing that. The following year became the year of self-preservation, and I started making myself a priority. And for somebody who came from a background of people pleasing, a way of life, actually, that felt hard. That felt impossible. But here I am, I'm standing. It's been some years since then, and it worked. Pick a word for yourself. The word that I chose for this year was self-awareness. I wanted to know the reasons why I did what I did. I wanted to know the reasons why I think the way that I think. I wanted to know why I made certain choices. And so self-awareness made me become more intentional with my why, my how, my what, my when. And it helps me continue to get to know myself more. And I encourage you to find a word. Maybe it's courage. Courage to see yourself for who you are. Courage to believe that you deserve something more. Courage to believe that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Courage to believe that I am worth being seen. Courage to believe that there is life on the other side of narcissistic abuse. For many of us, we are on different parts of our journey. We're not all in the same position. Some are just realizing what a narcissist is. Some, this is a shock for you because it's so new to you. And for others, we've been learning about this for some time and we've been talking about it. But it really doesn't matter where you are. You can always improve. We're always, life is a journey and we're going to continue to learn. And so I encourage you to continue to seek out information, continue to learn. Recognize when you don't feel right. Recognize when you feel like this situation is taking you back to a place that you fought to come out of. Recognize your triggers, and triggers are not always, they're not a bad thing. They highlight your emotions. Your emotions are so important. Whatever it is that you are feeling, allow yourself to feel those things. Bitterness. Okay, I'm feeling bitter today because this is my experience. That's okay. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. You are a human. You are allowed to have those emotions. They're emotions. They're God-given. Just don't make your bed with those emotions. You can feel all of that. Understand that it's not an indictment of your character, and you can come back from that. One of the biggest things for me was being able to stand tall. Now, I'm 5'3", so I don't know how tall, I could stand. But what I mean is to stand tall in the belief that I am worth fighting for. I'm worth seeing myself. Because when you start to see yourself, and it's a process, it's that walk of self-love, that walk of self-awareness, that walk of self-preservation. It's a journey. Extend some grace to yourself. Walk at the pace of grace. Now, when I say walk at the pace of grace, I want you to understand that God's grace is sufficient for us. He knows the pace that you need to take, and He's going to walk you at a certain pace because He knows you intimately. Walk at God's pace. Don't go ahead of Him. Let me be the one to tell you not to do that because your girl here. But also don't lag behind. And I have some stories about that too. But walk at God's pace. Sometimes we feel like we've lost so much being in these relationships. You're right on time. And God is a redeemer of time. He is a restorer of time. God makes all things new. So it doesn't matter what you think. Stand tall in God's word. I want you to consciously know. I want you to come to a conscious awareness that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you were created in divinity, fashioned and formed in divinity. You are beloved. You are the apple of His eye. God cares about you. God loves you. And He is a healer. He is a restorer. He is a redeemer. He sees you even when you think you're invisible to Him. Talk to Him. Get in His word. Use the tools and the resources that are available to you, but never ever be invisible to yourself. Family, I thank you so much for your time. I hope that you continue to have a fantastic week. Until the next video, take care and God bless you.